In this session, we will talk about the last principle of object-oriented programming, which is polymorphism. But before that, let's just review all the main principles of object-oriented programming. So the first one was encapsulation. Encapsulation means putting the data and operations in one programming model, which is called classes in object-oriented design. The second one was composition, which is a relationship between two classes. One class has an object as a data member from another class. The third principle of object-oriented was the inheritance. And the last one, that's our topic in this session, which is polymorphism. Now, polymorphism principle is so related with inheritance. Let's have the same example that we just talked in a previous session. About employee, we have a class called employee, and there are two classes that inherit class employee. One class called salaried employee and hourly employee. Now remember that the inheritance relationship is also called is-a. So every salaried employee is an employee and every hourly employee is an employee. Now display method in class employee is overridden in both salaried employee and hourly employee. To explain the polymorphism concepts, assume that we declare an object of type hourly employee, but through a variable or through using the superclass employee. So we say employee e equal new hourly employee. This is acceptable in object-oriented design. And we have another object called e2, which is also new, is of type new salaried employee, but also we assign this e2 through the superclass employee. Now this is correct because as we said before that every hourly employee is still an employee and every salaried employee is still also an employee. Remember that hourly employee also has a method called display. Salaried employee also has a method display, which is again defined in the superclass employee. Now if we say e1.display and e2.display, so we are calling the method display in e1 and method display in e2. Which display will be run? Actually, the compiler will know that e1, although it's an employee, but actually this object is hourly employee. So the display that will be called through this reference will be the display in the class hourly employee, not in the class employee. Same thing with e2. The display method here that will be called is the method that defined in salaried employee, not in the employee, although e2 is of type employee. So this is an example of the polymorphism. Generally, we can define the polymorphism as a programming language feature that allows values of different data types to be handled using a uniform interface. So different data types like hourly employee and salaried employee will be handled using the same interface, which is display, because this method is defined in the superclass.